Another day, another social media angst. And this comes in the form of a scene that was released, a clip from the upcoming James Gunn Superman movie, which features Nicholas Hoyt as Lex Luthor and, of course, David Cornswet as Superman. However, I'm not really seeing what the problem with the scene is. We're going to break it down and discuss it right here. So sit back, relax, and welcome to Studio Jake.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the Studio Jake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast and consider becoming a channel member. Also check out my website, studiojakemedia.substack.com, where you can subscribe, you can support the channel there, and get a whole lot more pop culture articles. Okay, so the scene in question is making the rounds all over the internet. I saw it all over X, especially. X is now the place where everyone goes to whine, I guess. To describe the scene, I would show the clip here, but this is YouTube, and I'm a small channel, and YouTube hates small channels. Clownfish TV and The Quartering have both done breakdowns of how YouTube is targeting smaller organic channels like mine. It's very distressing what they're doing, but I'm here anyway. I'm here for it. So anyway, back to Superman. The scene in question shows Lex Luthor. He's in a meeting with someone that I don't recognize when all of a sudden Superman bursts through the door and he's demanding to know where the dog is. And Lex Luthor tells his assistant to film it, and she's kind of in the corner filming what's going on. And he's like, "Where is the dog? Tell me where the dog is, Luthor." And Lex Luthor keeps saying, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then Superman flings his desk against the window. The window doesn't break, but it definitely cracks. And Superman is, "Where is the dog?" And then Lex Luthor says, "What dog? I don't know what you're talking about." So then Superman kind of relaxes. And then Lex Luthor says, "An ugly dog with a cape." And Superman turns to him and says, "What did you say?" And that's the end of the clip. So a lot of people were upset by this clip. It was making its rounds, and people were saying, "I don't like this clip of Superman." Now, to be fair, one of my problems with how Zack Snyder directed Henry Cavill, because I think Henry Cavill is a good Superman, he just had a poor director in Zack Snyder, was he did make Superman more glum and more depressed. And he goes to see some random priest about what was going on in a scene shaded so poorly you could barely make out the priest's face. And then the transition from Man of Steel to Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, he hasn't grown at all. He's exactly the same. Everything is depressing, it's all bleak, it's gloomy, and it just doesn't work with Superman. So with David Cornswet, though, it seems like we're getting a more emotional Superman. He's not as serious as the Christopher Reeves portrayal. He's not as, shall we say, focused as Brandon Roth. He's certainly not as quiet and gentle giant nature that Dean Cain portrayed. Now, a few people were saying this isn't Superman. Superman is always joyful and happy and all this. And I would just like to say, I think people who are saying that don't actually read Superman comics. They're just used to Superman, how he is in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, or in Superman and Lois, or how Smallville portrayed Superman, and even maybe in the video games. So they're not actually familiar with how Superman is in the comics. Now, the reason the scene didn't bother me, and I was actually responding to all these tweets like, "Why are we mad about this?" It's because a lot of people are just sort of tired of these big, sort of larger than life American myths being portrayed as weak need. And I understand that perspective, but Superman does show emotional, and he does sometimes tear through walls, especially when his loved ones are in danger. And a lot of people seem to forget that about him. As yes, he maintains a lot of control over himself. He is sharp with his comebacks. He likes to have the last word in his debates with Batman, but he's also has this emotional side that when his loved ones are threatened, he's not necessarily afraid to cut loose a little bit. Now, he still holds back. And some people were showing the scene from the finale of Justice League Unlimited where he says to Darkseid, "I feel like I live in a world of cardboard. I'm always having to control myself because I don't want to hurt something or someone, but you can take it, big guy. I can cut loose and show you just how powerful I am." And then he cuts loose on Darkseid. Now, what's hilarious is That same series, which George Newbern voiced Superman in that, it was originally Tim Daly in Superman the Animated Series, but then they wanted an older actor to voice him to show how he had changed from Superman TAS to Justice League. So it was George Newbern. And in that same series, just a few episodes prior, Superman actually gets in a fight with the original Captain Marvel, who you might know today as Shazam. It was a situation where Lex Luthor built sort of this mini city that it was going to be one of those what they call 15-minute cities in Scotland. And then Superman noticed that the power core was made of lead, and so he and Captain Marvel got into a tussle because Superman wanted to expose it as a bomb, not a power core. And so Superman gets emotional in that moment, and he and Captain Marvel have this big fight, and he destroys the city. Lex Luthor makes a big show of forgiving him in the show. It was meant to show Superman being emotional. So Superman definitely, even on the version that people were citing from Justice League Unlimited, Superman does sometimes show emotions and sometimes he lets them get the better of him. But what makes him a superhero is not that he has these weak moments where, yes, he can feel stress, he can get strained, and we're sometimes afraid. It's that he never crosses the line. Superman should never eliminate a villain outside of some sort of alien threat, but never a human, because Superman needs to be held to that higher standard. And that's a good perspective on Superman. So I think when people see these clips where Superman is getting overly emotional, they're concerned that it's going to be another sort of angsty Superman that we can't look up to, that we can't celebrate, that we can't cheer for. Now, that could very well be the case. Me personally, I like the stuff that I have seen. Does that mean the marketing for this film has been the greatest? No. Lois Lane comes off as a self-righteous jerk in a lot of the stuff, but I'm not seeing the movie for Lois Lane. I'm seeing the movie for Superman. So I want to like it. I want it to be good. And yes, the marketing has been poor, but I'm not going to let one or two scenes from a 2 hour long movie where Superman is showing some human emotion to bother me. I'm still going to go to the movie. I'm still going to watch it, and we'll see. And I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Do you think the scene was a nothing burger and people were making a mountain out of a molehill? Or were people justified in their anger? Because I always say this, we don't owe these movie companies, much less pervs like James Gunn, the benefit of the doubt. We don't. But I'm going to give it a chance because I did like the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I'm going to give his Superman an opportunity. Certainly he'll be better than Zack Snyder. Some people are thinking the movie might just be yeah, that was good, but it won't make like a big impact. And if that's the case, I'll just be happy because I do want to like a Superman movie. I want to look up and say, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Superman. I do want that to happen. I want to enjoy it. I want to have a good time. Superman is one of my favorite DC Comics heroes. I enjoy his stories immensely and whatnot. If you would like me to do more videos on Superman, maybe talk about who my favorite actors who have portrayed Superman are, let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to do that. But anyway, all this to me, all this complaining over this one clip where he kind of loses it on Luthor because Crypto is missing, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm going to go into this hoping that it's good. Expectations are low, but maybe it'll exceed my expectations and not try to subvert them. Who knows? This is Hollywood, baby, and it could go wrong very fast. If you like that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment, tell what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you want to support me in the work that I do, head on over to my new website, studiojakemedia.substack.com. The link is in the description of the video. You can subscribe at different tiers that unlock different perks, or you can read most of the articles for free. I'm happy with whatever, but I really hope you subscribe because, like I said, it's a big way you can support me. Thank you in advance. On that same website, in the conveniently titled Buy My Book section, you can pick up one or all four of my books. I've got links all over the place, and they're all available on Amazon. So pick up one or all four, leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.